It's the infamous pilot, the kind of the pilot character you got to play on Babylon 5 there, looking quite moody in the background there with Sheridan.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on in this shot right here. Somebody explained it to me once. They said, I can't even remember what they told me, but they had knew what the shot was. But yeah, in the first season, I played a dome tech.
Mm.
But then they said you can only be one human character. Do you want to be a dome tech or an alien? And I said I want to be a pilot. And they said, okay, you're a pilot. So that's what I did for the remaining 4 years. So, but in the
Brilliant.
first season, you can kind of see me just in the background as a dome tech.
Yeah, I think
And
we
they
got a couple of
also,
those as well. Yeah.
yeah, and well, funny enough, the role of Kosh, they offered to me. They said, "Do you want to be Kosh?" And I said no, because I didn't realize who the character was. That it was
Mm.
like as important as it was, and I thought it was just like a puppeteer because you're just inside of this box
Mm.
moving a head around. So I said no, I don't want to play that part. And then the guy who ended up playing it was Jeffrey Willard. I think he was an office guy. He was just worked in the office, so they gave it to him, and he became famous. So he goes to
Mm.
conventions and signs pictures and stuff like that. And I kind of screwed it up by not taking that part.
Oh well, you're getting famous now, certainly. So
Yeah, barely. I always
brilliant.
say to people, there's like A-list celebrities, B-list, C-list. I'm somewhere down around Q-list, I think.
But
Yeah, and
Babylon
I think
5
that
fans, we
was
love it up, yeah.
what were you going to say?
I say Babylon 5 fans lap it all up anyway, so you are a
Yeah,
celebrity to us.
right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was one of the cards that I was in as well. Um, I didn't realize it at the time, or maybe I did, but I just forgot that. I guess I was instructing him how to fly this Star Fury or something like that. But in this scene, they wanted to do a thing where it was in zero gravity, so they had a pen or something rigged up with a string, and they were going to have it float up in the air. But they couldn't figure out how to do it, and they said the director producers were like, we got to go, you got to figure this out in the next few minutes. So they ended up not doing it because they couldn't do it fast enough, because you got a budget that you got to time
Yeah.
constraints and all that.
Brilliant. But it's quite a cool shot there with you with Bruce Boxlight at Sheridan.
Yeah.
No, yeah. There's another shot. This is you don't tech from season one. So this is you with Michael O'Hare from season one as
Yep.
well.
Yeah, and interesting, I didn't know this until basically after he had passed away, that
Mm.
he was suffering from severe mental illness. And
Yeah.
Michael Straczynski promised that he wouldn't say anything to anybody until his passing. And then when we found out the truth, it was kind of shocking. But I had found out that after he left the show, he was only on it for one season.
Mm.
He basically became kind of homeless in New York City. And one of the assistant directors, Steve McWhirter, he said that he had gone to New York and bumped into him, and he said he didn't look good at all, and he actually borrowed some money from him. He's like, I need to borrow $100. So he had kind of a sad end of his life.
Yeah. Very
But he
sad.
was,
Yeah.
yeah, but nobody knew anything. He
Mm.
just seemed completely, normal. Real nice guy, but we didn't realize the extent of what he was going through.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. And then there's another picture of you as well, just you on yeah, getting was it the captain's chair here? I'm not quite sure what you were
Yeah,
sitting here.
something like that.
As a
Yeah,
dome
see,
tech, yeah.
that was season one
Yeah,
for sure, because I had only played a dome tech on that first season.
yeah, brilliant. And then you got promoted to pilot, obviously from season two onwards.
Sure, let's go with
Yeah,
promotion.
yeah, brilliant. So, a couple more aliens before we finish off. This is a kind of interesting alien. I'm sure this is going to be a pig nose alien. Quite an interesting makeup. This one.
Yeah, the makeup artists were given a lot of leeway. They would just take parts from other aliens and just kind of create new stuff. So they were given a lot of freedom in that respect. And there's one picture where I think you have this picture where I'm kind of like a surfer dude, where I have like
Oh yeah,
blonde hair. Yeah, I'm wearing a hat, and that piece was from Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's a vampire, which I also played a vampire
mm,
in the Halloween episode. But the same company, Optic Nerve, that did Babylon 5 also did Buffy. That's how I got the part on
right.
Buffy. So they took one of the vampire pieces and brought it to Babylon 5. They never said anything about it. So I'm actually a vampire from Buffy on Babylon 5.
Of course, yeah. So I'll come to that picture in a moment. There's one and I thought it looked vampire-like. His picture of you as a Pac-Man. So I guess was this a lot of makeup, or was it just like masks and robes for
Nope,
this
that
one?
was just a mask. But when there was one day where they had those tentacles would move. They would kind of wiggle around, and the eyes would blink. So I was in the council chambers, and there's two guys with remotes, one working on the eyes, which would blink, and I could see barely. Just it's kind of like a Halloween mask; you can barely
Mm.
see. Um, so I could see these guys, with the remote controls, and I could feel the tentacles moving, and the eyes blinking and stuff, and I could hear the mechanisms inside the
Cool.
head. So that one was kind of cool. But at least, again, it was kind of a cheat day because you could take the mask off. It wasn't a makeup
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah, of course. And there's one of you in the parking lot here as well with Claudia. And I don't recognize the obviously assuming another Air Force officer there as well.
Yeah, her name was Six because she was 6 feet tall.
Right.
Um, and she came in. She worked like for most of the show, and she was a stand-in a lot. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's just for the lighting. You're not actually on
Right.
camera. But sometimes we would do both, where we'd be a stand-in, and then we'd also be in the scene. So that was common. So I think this was a day where I was just wearing a mask, alien, and I don't know whose car that is, but nobody really parked back there. So I know this was season one because that's when people stopped parking back there.
Right.
And then way in the back is our lunch tent.
Oh,
That's where
amazing.
everybody. Yep, and then off to the left is the hair and makeup trailers. So as you can see, we're kind of surrounded by fences, but those buildings in the background are like factories or office buildings or something.
Wow.
We
It's
didn't really, interact with anybody who worked around there. We just drove into the back and then went in the back door. So, like
yeah.
I said, they didn't know that there was a studio back there.
But yeah, it's a great picture. Again, I'll share this one on social media because it's one that kind of just shows how out on the sticks you were filming Babylon 5 as well.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I love the lunch tent in the background. Is
yeah,
this the surf what you're talking
yeah,
about? The kind of the
yeah,
vampire-like alien there with
yeah.
Garibaldi and Talia.
Yep, that's when they were a couple. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that
Mm,
scene, but they kind of had a messy breakup, I think, at some point. But yeah, I didn't realize it until later. But that is it as a vampire piece that they took from Buffy, because, like I said, it was the same studio, makeup studio that did both shows. So I'm pretty certain that that's a vampire because I compared it with me as a vampire, and it's the same face.
yeah, well, I've got a couple of the vampire ones at the moment. As we'll talk about from Buffy as well. I think.
Yeah.
Love the shot. You screaming. It's head in hand.
Well, this was the day that I was the shadow surgeon, which was a kind of like a
Right.
gray alien, like a gray typical, like you see in drawings of people who've been abducted or whatever.
Mm.
And it was a mask, and I'm doing surgery on Londo in the scene, and they gave me three laser pointers all taped together, which is where my laser obsession started. I'm obsessed with lasers now because of that. Because I thought it was so cool that I could shoot the wall across the studio with this, red dot. I thought that was so cool. But those fingers were actually glued on. It
Wow.
took 30 minutes to glue them on, and they were hollow plastic. So the one thing nobody thought of is how am I going to go to the bathroom? Because if I tried to, unbutton my pants, the fingers would bend. And I was wearing like spandex pants, and I couldn't, pee. I couldn't go to the bathroom, and I'm begging everybody, like, can you help me? Like, I need help, and nobody would do it. So finally, we figured out that I could take a screwdriver and palm it with my hand and stick it in the front of my pants and pull them down far enough where I could go to the bathroom. So I stopped drinking water that day.
Fantastic. I
But
think that's it.
one quick
Yep.
story about the shadow surgeons. There was
Mm.
a guy named Bill Blair who was like I had mentioned earlier, and there were three of us, and we're running down the hallway, pushing this gurney, like running full speed. And this is inside of this factory, so
Mm.
it's a real hallway with pipes, and they just didn't even dress it up. It was just an industrial hallway. And I was in the front, and Mike Todd, my friend, and Bill Blair were on the two sides, and Bill Blair was on the left. And we can't see very well out of these masks. And I hear this clink, and Bill Blair had hit a pipe and just fell to the
Wow.
floor.
Dear.
But everybody got a good laugh about it. But that's the kind of stuff that would normally be
Mm.
considered by the actors union to be a stunt. But we just did it, and we never complained because we're kind of like family. So I did a lot of stuff like that, fight scenes and stuff like that, and
Yeah.
never. But most actors would complain and ask for more money, and they'd get it because if all you have to do is call the Screen Actors Guild, the union, and they'd have somebody down there in 30 minutes, and they'd argue with the producers, and they would win. So we never did that kind of stuff, which is what made us kind of valuable and we stayed for
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, of course. But I guess, looking at all these amazing Babylon 5 pictures is that just how kind of almost cutting edge and how experimental the makeup was and the design was. Everything about the design and the production of B5 was how kind of, everything other about the show was kind of revolutionary in a way, from the writing through to the makeup as well. And it's great to kind of see that reflected in the pictures that you've been sharing as well.